Hello, Greg.
Hello, David, and hello,
Yes,
everyone.
welcome if you're in the chat. And I think there's a few more people that I know that are gonna make it to the chat. But welcome,
Yeah,
welcome, welcome.
they're on their way getting coffee if they just got up anyway.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, that's really early. I bet you he goes back to bed after though.
I would think so. I would hope so.
If he doesn't, that's dedication to the cause right there.
Oh man, totally.
Let's see.
So, so, what have you been printing?
Recently, lots of revision after revision of headphone mounts. um, Originally they were to go on like a computer monitor, and then I wanted to put them on like a wall divider thing,
Uh,
and they were too small, and I broke a bunch, and yeah.
yeah, well, it happens. It happens. That's the fun of being able to design things. You can iterate lots, and it's not super expensive to screw up a few
Right?
times,
Yeah.
right?
Fail, rinse, repeat. Fail, rinse, repeat. I think
Yep,
that's.
that's the way to do it.
And you've been on. Well, you just got back.
I just got back from holiday, so I'm back in my normal dungeon with crappy sound right
Yeah.
now because of my sound kept cutting out before the show, so I decided to just abandon the
Fanciness.
software mixer that was, I think, causing the issue. So we'll see if it continues to work for the rest of the show.
Yeah, we'll have to send an audio engineer over and punch it a couple times or something.
I know a guy. He's pretty good at it. So
Sometimes he is. Sometimes he's
yeah.
sleepy though. Very sleepy. Superpower. Hey Gary, hey Ben, and I think it's
Hey, Gary.
Ari, maybe. Hello everybody. Good to see you, Ben and Gary, and I don't think I've ever seen Ari in the thing before, but hello.
He's first time. Welcome.
Grasshoppers. That's a great question. Nothing to do with 3D printing. Apparently, we're having a plague here, but I have seen two.
I had more mosquitoes than grasshoppers when I was on
Yeah.
holidays, and but now it's good.
No,
So
we
I
made the
haven't.
news, Greg. You missed it. That's what made the
I,
news. We had an apocalypse. They were like, "Oh man, the apocalypse has come."
why has the apocalypse come?
Grasshoppers.
What
That's
came?
that's why. That's what Gary's saying.
There,
It was legit.
was there? I guess I missed them
Yeah,
all.
on the
So I'm sorry. I'm sorry I
they
missed
were
them.
all on the
Uh,
west
I'll,
side.
I'll
And
I'll tell you what. I will print a grasshopper to make up for it.
okay, you're gonna have to post it to the group tonight once it's printed, though.
First of all, I gotta get all my printers working. So
Thankfully, all my printers working, but like the one in the garage needed some loving care. But now that one's working too. Gary, I thought you would be 3D printing grasshopper traps and selling them. No, like literally,
that's a good
we
idea.
should. But like apparently, all of the problem in the city is across the river from where we are, and like they're coming off the farmlands on the west end. So yeah, we haven't really seen too much here. I just gotta throw this up so we could do it real quick. If you guys know or have followed along, we have Patreons, and thank you for being our Patreons. You guys enable us to do cool projects like Greg's Voron that we'll talk about in a bit, or other things, hot end extruders, all that neat stuff. Helge, thank you for being a tree supporter, and everybody else on the list, thank you. And I'll throw it out there. You can get us at patreon.com/3dmakeit. If you want to check out our Patreon, we do post public stuff there too. But, you
We
know,
do.
um, grasshopper traps. Yeah, I don't know how you would catch a grasshopper. I guess you put tape down or something in a box.
And they get stuck on
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't know. The other place you guys could check out for stuff is 3dmakeit.ca.
Yes.
The thing I have doesn't show up very well, but 3dmakeit.ca is a good resource for some stuff, and we're gonna talk a little bit about some of the stuff, and probably why you don't even need to look at it, but it's there. Just throwing it out. It's all our socials, so you can find us there. And since it's the beginning of the video, Greg, what do you got to remind them to do?
Like, subscribe, and thumbs up, please.
Yeah, we're really bad, but we remembered this time. So yeah, the I don't even know. I'll have to Google a grasshopper trap. I imagine it wouldn't be too hard, but they're all hoppy.
Yeah. I remember catching them in my hands too, Ben. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Frogs and grasshoppers, you know. Although I haven't seen frogs around my part in a long time now. But
No.
So as you guys know, Greg's been on like a little bit of away time, and we were able to do some live streams while he was away, which was great.
Yeah.
And then we're kind of back, but we're still really super busy.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'll be working on a couple more updates to my CNC stuff, and then I think you're gonna fit in some camping and stuff. So and most of the news cycle, I don't know if you've noticed this, David, but I've been checking around, and there's not a lot going on with new releases of anything, via either software or hardware. Yeah, I think everyone else is trying to get rid of their pent up house.
Well, and I think that's exactly what it is.
Abandoning, get out there and enjoy life for a while.
Well, at least till the Kenny wave comes in.
Yeah.
The amount of people, like, I don't know if you noticed, but like a lot of the 3D printing stuff, like controllers and even like printer kits and stuff, kind of like stopped in May.
Yeah, so either they're under development or everyone's on holidays and they're waiting for the fall to release stuff. I'm not sure. I know sales must have dropped off because I popped on to a couple of the AliExpress stores I go to, and they're having a sale in August. Everything's like 40% off.
And it's a Thanksgiving sale.
So I guess that means that things are slow everywhere. So
yeah, and I think the big thing too is electronics in general release in cycles, right? You either have a spring release or you usually have fall releases in time for Christmas. The big G-Tech Mini E3 boards are a big controversy, Ben says. I've heard of a few issues, but I didn't know they were like a super controversy. What's the big hook?
Yeah, I don't know what the controversy is there either.
I heard about the resistors. I knew that.
I know that with all a bunch of the big chip manufacturing plants and the contractors and whatnot have had issues getting supplies out. The reason why there's all these automobile shortages is the chip that they use and the firmware that they have to put on the chips for the airbags. And it's like literally, and you can't ship a car without an airbag.
Well, and the funny part is the controllers in your 3D printer are more intelligent than an airbag chip too.
Yeah, and because they're ancient. Yeah. Like I don't know if they're even 8-bit. That's how old they are, right?
But they got one job: deploy airbag.
Yeah, and so that's kind of part of the issue is everyone's trying to ramp these up, and so I don't know if that's going to start impacting this holiday season for boards and printer releases. I mean, hopefully the people have some inventory now, but with a lot of the newer boards.
Well, there was that fire. I forget where it was, in one of the Asian countries, but like it took out the factory that made the microchips.
Well, the other issue the other issue was they need quite a bit of
Yeah.
water, and in Taiwan they were literally trucking water
Yeah.
in because they didn't have enough water to. I'm not sure if it's for the manufacturing process or the growing of the actual wafers or what, but they
Yeah.
had to actually curtail a lot of their
Yeah.
production. So,
Um,
hey, Lightspeed,
Lightspeed's here. Lightspeed.
Stephen.
Since Greg is back, we'll send you an email tonight, and we can circle back about the
Yeah, getting
yeah,
you
the
on,
Merv.
Stephen.
Yeah. Ben, I want to talk about that E3 comment though. The big issue that I am aware of is existing on the E3 turbo boards, not the minis. The turbos have bad resistors, which throw off the thermistors if you get the wrong revision. And unlike that's the SKR2 that you got, right, Greg? Yeah.
Yeah, which would had that one had the it was the
MOSFET.
MOSFET that
Yeah,
was
and
bad,
they didn't label the E3 boards like they did. They didn't label the E3 boards like they did the SKR2, so you couldn't actually tell which revision you have other than looking on the board and making sure that the resistors are marked 0, which are basically open.
Oh.
But you can't get the. So they're subbing MCU GD pin compatible chips, but it's not compatible with the libraries. Yeah, and I suspect now. This is exactly what. It's the same reason Big Tree Tech swapped that MOSFET, like the chip shortages.
Yep.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But Marlin, wow, you got to give those guys credit on their nightly builds because they'll have that board library in there pretty darn quick. If it's,
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, but that's assuming that they're actually shipping anything.
Well,
yet, right? That's the other problem, right?
And I'm sure they've shipped some because it wouldn't have been like what's the word I'm looking for? It's bigger than an issue, but if there's controversy around it, you'd think a few people got them.
Well, and that's the funny thing, right? Like the SKR2, right, with the chip substitution for the MOSFET, right? Well, that didn't work. They suggested a substitution, but it's hard to suggest something when you don't understand what the rest of the system does. Like you can say, well, yeah, these are in the right tolerances.
Yeah.
Well, that's not looking at the whole system, right? And I think that's the thing. Like they build it to rough spec, but doesn't mean it's going to be fully compatible. So
no, and like I think your mic just cut out, Craig. Actually, your video cut out. We'll wait for Greg to get back, but like it's one of those things where they've already silkscreened the board and stuff, and they're gonna just try to find a pin adjacent chip and go with it. Yeah, Greg's frozen. Is he back yet? Hello, I hear you now.
I don't know what happened. It went away for a second.
It could be my internet's going down again. We'll see. Yeah, so Big Tree is shipping the boards with incompatible firmware. That actually makes 100% sense because they're gonna fulfill it and hope that on the way, right, that firmware will update and work. But like the cost for them to like cancel the whole line just to wait for this, but they did that with the SKR2, same thing.
Yeah,
I think it,
and I don't think you can get away with it with these guys because they don't have the quality control, right?
well, that's just it. Oh, we should set up those Ubiquity things between our house, Greg. Direct video connections. Yeah, I'll just go over and smack Greg in the back of the head to increase the.
I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was my.
I don't know if it was. It could have been on my end too, but I think the moral of the story, and like we've seen it almost all the time with the Big Tree Tech kind of releases, and not just Big Tree Tech. Okay, like all of the first releases of those boards is don't be
Right.
the first down the tunnel if you're not like a beta tester or like you're getting it for demo on a YouTube channel or something, like wait until probably a month before you try to buy the
Yeah.
newest board just to see. Like I lucked out with the turbo. I bought the turbo like the second week it was out almost. And I got a first rendition and it did have the bad resistors, but I can solder.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? Like it's not like we don't have some skills, but not
Yeah.
everyone does. And I can't I couldn't program a whole new library for this new
Mhm.
chip because that's not my skill set, right? So we have to rely on other people, but they shouldn't have changed the
Yeah.
board
Yeah.
without, and especially if they aren't labeling it correctly. If it's a different revision
Yeah.
board and you're subbing as soon as you sub a major component on a
Yeah.
board, you need to change the revision number so that you can identify
Easily,
that
yeah.
board,
And
right? And then if you go back to the other chip, then you go back to the other revision
Yeah.
number. And that's my opinion.
no, I
on
agree.
that,
Like
but
it
I
should be
think that
easy to identify, right? Like
yeah,
yeah, Ben said he has the one that he needs to solder the resistors too. Yeah, that's an easy fix on those, thankfully. But like I don't I'll put it to I think it's before quality control even, Ben. I think like Greg says, if you're going to change a component, that's not quality control at that point, that's revision management.
but quality control goes after that
Mm-hmm.
because you and your whole team needs to be in
Yeah.
line with it because if you have to make a change, you have to let the whole team know, and then there has to be basically a
Mm-hmm.
recertification, so to speak, because um, they spend a lot of time designing these boards and validating them so that this resistor's right because you change the CPU and like the other problem, you could have resistors that need to be pulled up or pulled down depending on the chip design because they didn't integrate something in or they
Yeah.
changed the design slightly,
Yeah.
maybe right.
Yeah.
So it's, and then you should have a firmware that you've tested and validated and then contributed to Marlin so that they can help
So
implement
this is,
it. You
I
shouldn't
mean,
rely on the
that's where
community.
it gets sketchy though, because if you look at companies and like we'll use the words Big Tree Tech, and we will use Big Tree Tech's actually terrible for it. They wait for forums and Reddits and other devices like that to answer the problems before they even
Right.
like the fix to solder resistors or pop off MOSFETs. Those came from people, not the company. But like big the other thing too is Big Tree Tech is not in the firmware business. They're not. They're there
No.
to sell a board, and in their minds they put a pin compatible chip on a board, and in theory it works.
Yeah,
It's
I
sad.
think that's a bit of a, unfortunately, a cop out because just because it's pin compatible doesn't make it work properly. And I think if you're designing a piece of hardware, you have to have some understanding or knowledge of the firmware that you're
Hmm.
putting on it and the pin compatibility and whatnot. So you should have some people on your team that allow
Hmm.
you to do
Yeah,
that.
and like I know they do have some of those people. I've seen them on the like they do little videos every now and again, and you'll see the an engineer pop in or whatever. And I know those people exist, but we've seen that problem. Um, so like I think, oh goodness, was it 2 years, 2.5 years ago? We were using MKS. That was right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like the MKS boards, I liked them. They were 8-bit controllers. It was before all the jumpers and stuff, right? But then when we switched to Big Tree Tech, do you remember? Like, Even the first boards we got, it was like, oh, if you want to use that driver in this, you better make sure that you cut that pin or solder
Solder
this,
this and cut this.
and there was
Hey, Vince.
hey Vince, you're not late, you're just on time. But there was back then, and a man, like that's not that long ago. That's just like pre-pandemic, right?
I know.
Back then, there was good quality instructions. At least if they knew they screwed up, they would tell you how to fix it like before you got it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know what? The 2209s run really hot on this board, so you got to do X, right? And then you had
But the 2130s, you
oh my
burn
goodness,
yourself.
they ran so hot. But like we're at a point now, and I don't disagree, where tech support and almost all the tech support is getting pushed back on community members that are, able to do, and like let's include Marlin and RepRap developers and all those guys as community members. I mean, they're a company, but they are doing almost all the heavy lifting by supporting these new boards. Like,
Yeah, and getting not much reward from it. Like, the community is very thankful to have them, and some people are supporting their Patreon and whatnot. But for the most part, they're not. They're doing this out of the goodness of
Right.
their heart.
And like Ben's elaborating on that one chip, and it looks like it's a communication issue with the USB and the controller.
Well, so the cool thing is, if that's the case, now that you can adjust all the baud
You might be
rates
able to tweak it out.
individually, you might be able to tweak it to a certain degree to change some of those timings.
I think
but-
that that might be tricky, just because if it's colliding at like 115 too, it might, going slower would, like, you might as well just print off the SD at that point.
No, but what you can do now, you're not, if you jump it down, you don't have to change a lot of the internal
No,
communication.
but I'm talking USB.
separate now.
I'm talking if you slow that USB connection down.
Yeah,
it's no. But like, it's funny.
they'll
I was
figure it.
gonna say this is part of what I wanted to bring in, but like, if Greg, if you were shopping controllers right now, which controller would you bring home? So, let's say you blew out a controller on an Ender 3. You blew out a controller and you don't have any no extra ones. You
But that's my problem.
so
I got too many right now. I haven't even put them in printers yet. So
yeah, but if you were to blow one out, what would be your go-to? Like,
my
that you-
go-to would be probably a
a
1.4.
1.4 turbo or just 1.5?
Yep, turbo.
Yeah, and I like, probably, like, I don't think you can buy them widely anymore because the 2 came out, and I think now it's a safe bet to buy a 2. But
Yeah, and I do have a 2 in my one printer that I'm just setting up. So because I know it wasn't Gary, Pierre was asking about it, and so I'm in the process of fully configuring it with Wi-Fi, everything in my MakerBot.
Right.
So I'm on the
Yep.
verge of getting
Yep.
it going, but and it works, but it's not fully tweaked, and so that's I might go with that one. I might stay with that one, but depending on if it was just an Ender replacement, yeah, I'd probably go with that one. If that was all that was available. But if I have a bigger printer, I'd probably go with the Spider or the Octopus, depending on the number of what I want to do with the printer. If I'm going to IDEX or dual Z or
like,
whatever.
I'm just thinking standard. Like, you don't even have to go Ender. Like, just a standard Ender CR10.
The 1.3s and 1.4 SKRs are very solid.
Yep.
Like and I don't have any complaints.
So like for
So
me, I think a competitor, and if not the winner of all of those, is the turbo for the E3 turbo. I think if you're comfortable with a board that doesn't need dip drivers, I think that's the hands down. Get that board. Don't look at any other boards. It's good. It's fixed. It's running. You know what I mean?
what Ben, what do you mean by the chips are impossible? He's saying the LPC.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
17
I've never had a problem with the 6
Is
eighths and 9.
yeah, no, I've mine have been rock
Yeah.
solid, so um I'm not sure
I do know
if
that
you've
the
been
ST like the
or if they're
STF
just hard to
like
get.
maybe the STMF chips are a little more popular now and they can do more work, but like the MakerBase Robin Nano V3 is up there as well. On my list, it's a 32-bit ecosystem, and it's a good controller. But I think from
Yeah.
like for me, I'd throw a E3 Turbo in. They're not expensive, and if you do blow a driver, you can just buy a new one, I guess. But you have an extra one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. I have to see what's out there
impossible to get.
when it dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think because the whole industry is kind of leaning more to the what are they, the fourth, third, what is the STM for F4s
Yeah.
series, which is in the duet, and that's why you can do Marlin, and you can do all the other rep rap and everything on them, because they're kind of universal depending on which one you get, right? There's the one's the 30 and one's the
No.
one can run both
can,
and one
yeah.
can't.
And it's just, but and I think I'd have to look. I think the turbo. The one thing that I do know is remotely flashing firmware is much easier on like 1769 or 8 chip. It likes to.
And all the other ones, like they're pretty good. I know they got a little more into the adding a EEPROM on there since then, but I didn't have much problem with my 1.3 and 1.4 without an EEPROM. With the virtual EEPROM, I never really had problems.
Yeah, and like the only problem I had was when I screwed up that one line in the config advance on one controller, and then I couldn't do it anymore. I'm like, "Argh."
I've done that too.
But like Vince is mentioning the Nano, and like the Nano. So if you guys don't know, all of these boards are pretty well cookie cutter copies of each other. So the Nano.
Well, a lot of them are.
So the MakerBase Robin Nano, it looks just like an SKR. However, it has green headers instead of red headers. So if you like green too, right? Like there's an advantage right there.
And he said running on Marlin colored menu.
Yeah, the screens used to be locked, and you used to have to run the LVGL, like he says, which is just an open GL. But you can actually get it running Marlin now, which is pretty sweet. And then, I mean, stepper driver wise, like the 225s are okay, but I mean, if you
well, the 225s are just a
of the
repackaged 2208, and the 226s are the 2209.
And ironically enough, I think it's still easier to find, like, if you're looking for a 2208, it's easier to find a 2225 now. But if you're looking for a 2209, it's still easier to find a 2209.
Yep. And that's not to say that there's not going to be more stuff coming out in the future. Yeah. Like, I know it's not like they've been sitting on their laurels and not designing new chips. They keep progressing, and there's going to be new models. But what it's with all this manufacturing capacity glut right now, like that everyone wants chips but no one can get them, and it'll hopefully flip the other way, where there will be too many chips and we'll be able to get boards like crazy.
Yeah, Ben mentioned the Panda Pie again, or the Panda board, and I that's one that I want. I want to get my hands on it.
Yeah. I've
Yeah,
seen a couple of Ben's posts
it looks
on it
cool.
and whatnot, showing it off. It's the one with all the kind of the screw terminals and
Yeah,
stuff on it. Yeah, that looks like it
yeah,
would
yeah.
be
I
pretty
think
cool.
it's a cool idea. I mean, we're getting out of the territory of like leveraging a Raspberry Pi for its processing power. We're slowly getting up there, but it's still an advantage to if you can do it. You know, mount the Pi as a hat on the board, and it makes it super convenient. Like
Yeah. Well, I mean, and Prusa did that, but they tried that with the
yeah,
Zero.
that was a wow.
With their buddy board, was it? No, it wasn't
No,
their buddy board. It was the one
Rambo.
before
No.
Rambo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Rambo.
it was
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah,
other ones.
the Pi Zero can't do anything. Just so you
It was
all
just
know.
underpowered. It was a good idea too early.
Yeah, and you know, and you know, we mentioned it before, and here it comes again. There's a chip shortage, right? And all of the chips are in shortage, and it's gonna get worse as we run out of gas, as we run out of water, as heat
Oh, they're
waves
not
coming.
they're not selling they're not selling any cars. We won't
No,
run out
not
of
that
gas.
gas. Is it helium? Helium,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sure we'll
Well,
get
yeah, but the price of it, if you can invest in that. Uh,
more. We're not an investing show. Don't take our advice on investing. Disclaimer.
disclaimer, hashtag maybe. Um, yeah, NC. Yeah. NC board. Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
fancy.
I mean, when we talk about like, again, like circle back, and then we'll move on to the next thing. But like right now, my preference board is an E3 Turbo, and I just love the fact that it has that thermistor on the board. I know you can do
Yeah,
that with
no,
any board, right?
but it's kind of neat that it is
Yeah,
built on. You're right.
and you can actually use it. I mean, I had the opportunity to put a brand new one in from our good friend Ray. Shipped it down for us here, and the firmware actually enabled it, like the stock
Nice.
firmware, yeah, which was really cool. So now we. I guess we could talk about the Voron quick. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I've got a handful of. Whoops. I dropped some. Got a handful of parts.
Literally handful.
Yeah, literally.
I got one
so
more here for you, and then
there's a few more before I can start to build. Really, I think I should probably have all the parts so I
was
can
gonna
just
say,
start
yeah.
the build.
and looking at
Yeah.
all the files. So like, what we did is we, well, first we're like, let's print it, and then I'm like, no, that's not gonna work for me. Let's separate them into the right colors so then I don't have to think. And so then Greg separated all the parts that he wanted, and I think we have like, what are we doing? We got green,
There's a number of batches
Yeah,
and
purple,
green and black,
black.
or green, purple,
yeah,
and black.
and so and we are going the route with all ABS. And I don't know, are you vapor smoothing, or are you just gonna leave them, or?
No, I think I'll
Yeah.
just leave them, and then once I get it up into the point that it's running, then I'll use it to build the bigger Voron
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
I'll use it.
Now, I do want to like, now this is your first Core XY. The- and-
It is, and it's so
and
big.
Interestingly enough, yeah, I know, right? It's big, it's cute. The Ender 7 is out, and it's also, I do believe, it's true Core XY.
Yeah, that's about the only thing that I've seen that has
Yeah,
come out
and like,
lately.
you know what? Let's talk about that because it's out, and it. You know what? It. So if you guys don't know, like the Ender we went from 3, and then they did have the Ender 4 that was like their first try at Core XY, and then they went to a 5 which wasn't Core XY.
Well, and then they have the 6.
And the 6 is the Core. I think the 6 was a true Core XY in a beefier frame, but I can't remember if it was true. I'll have to look at the gears. But the 7 is actually a Core XY because they boast speeds of up to 250 millimeters a second, and you need Core XY kinematics to do such a thing. Now, the cool thing, I guess you could say, about this printer is its footprint. It's an Ender.
Well, it looks. I'm just looking at the picture now, and it's kind of interesting how they've the way they've set it up. It still only has a single lead screw on the bed and whatnot.
So I mean, it's again,
it's an entry level, which I have a single lead screw on the Zero, right?
And like the like there's nothing wrong with a single lead screw, and I talked about it before, with such a small print bed, right? Like anything 250 and smaller, even though it's not small, is light enough for a single lead screw, especially with Core XY. You can get away with it. But
well, I mean the bed. let me grab.
He's gonna. It's cute. It's cute. It is cute. Let's see it. While he's grabbing the bed, though, the print size on that Ender 7 is 250 by 250, and then you get 300 in the Z. So it's slightly bigger than an Ender 3.
For scale.
It's cute. It's super cute.
You can't even fit a full pencil on the bed.
Oh, darling. So I think the Voron Zero kit, how much was that? How much were we looking? I forget.
$400.
And then I think we bought
120 by 120.
120 by 120. And we bought like maybe, I think it was about $60 in ABS. So let's call it 500. And so just so you just have a comparison, the Ender 7, which is Core XY, and they actually do a very good job of showing that now on their website.
Yeah, I do like the picture they have showing how the kinematics
Kudos to
work.
Creality for their marketing. But it's $900, so just to put it in perspective. So something pre-built from, a Creality or, that's Core XY. And I think that you could end up printing quite quickly on it.
I would like to see one.
Lightspeed's doing the rat rig.
Yeah, he was. I think we'll chat with him about what printers he has and whatnot when we get him on here. Soon, Stephen. Soon we'll get you on.
What's mine? Mine's like I want to say it's 450 by 450 by 5. I think that's the build that I got. Right. I am going to switch it out. So I'm going to do the exoslide system on it.
I didn't know you were going to do that.
I've been thinking about it, and I think that's one thing that I'm going to upgrade. And I did successfully after I talked about it a bit, but now I've got probably over 100 hours on that printer now. I put the Mosquito hot end on the Ender with that Fang band. And I'll show it. I'll show what we did to it. But it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It prints, like, the quality is probably better than the standard. And then it's got all those high temp stuff on it. So, like, I was thinking about taking this one out to the garage too and being like, you're ABS too. I'm going to dress like a Canadian whenever. Oh, yeah. Can we dress American?
But you got to make your head move like on South Park.
We could totally make a filter do that for us. We could all be Canadian and talk like this. Talk really high. So yeah, I will show that off. I really like the Mosquito mod. Much better on the Ender than the H2, but again, the H2 is great, and I got that in the pipe too, but probably. Oh man, that was weird. I was watching the comments, and then I saw your hands moving, and then I turned back, and you weren't moving.
Fuzzy hat with you.
There you go. Get some plaid too. Carry an axe.
I don't think I even own a
I
plaid
own
shirt.
one plaid shirt. It's my winter coat,
I don't own a
and it's a
plaid
hoodie.
shirt.
Actually, it's
Uh,
not.
but I have a toque.
So Ben muses a point. See, I used the word muse because it was different. But Ben's just saying the problem with those big Core XY printers is the belt tensioning and stretching. Yes and no.
I think it has to do with
It
design,
is.
right? Because some of them have the tensioning built into the
Yeah.
design, and you look at the Ender 7 there, it looks like they've got the way they have the
Hmm.
pulley wrap. They've got some tensioning
Yeah,
built
and
into
like
it.
my intention's nice, but like I have seen them uh a lot of the times the the belt breaks, Ben. I've seen that a lot. And usually that's because of the way you've aligned the actual belt to the pulleys. Oh Greg, Ben asked you a
Yes.
question.
Well, my RV project is done.
You made
And
it.
we were out in BC for a full
Hmm.
month in that RV, and enjoying ourselves at the lake before the smoke filled
Yeah.
the whole valley.
Yeah, that was
So
crazy.
it was
My
quite
RV
nice.
got pummeled with hail.
Yeah, you were saying that, and so did it like break
So like
stuff or
it I did get hail damage on and along the skirt. So like there's like the aluminum skirt around the bottom. It did. I got
yeah,
damage there, and then the vent. So there's two freshwater vents. Well, one's fresh, one's dirty. Um, dirty. But
yeah.
it did break those little vents. So
Well, those
well,
those
I
are
know I
cheap.
fixed it with the 3D printer. It
No,
was.
I got two of them for like
Oh
three
yeah,
five
they're
dollars.
nothing. Like literally like they're those little ones, right? Like that big or whatever, like the three,
Yeah.
and it punched a hole just through them, just straight through. One thing that always boggles my mind is how tough solar panels are, though. Like,
Well, glass
right?
is actually
It
pretty
is.
tough,
And
and they temper them,
yeah.
right? So that makes it.
Well, and then like
Well, it's like your beds on your
that's true.
printer. They're they don't break that often, especially when you throw them across the room
Yeah,
like
like
you
it
do.
just bounced.
Uh,
I mean, if you get bored, I suggest you try it. It's entertaining. Um, but yeah, like the damage was minimal to ours. Oh, it cracked the it also cracked the it's a black ABS vent cover on the outside where it vents the stove, and that got cracked in half. So
yeah, well, Ben, I wouldn't live in an RV full time at this point in my life because I have three teenagers in my house, and and still work full time. So so maybe once my teenagers are gone and I retire, then I can live in one and move around.
just get a nice big park and stay.
I already have one
Oh no,
park. It's out
I
in
know
BC. I
it's
got a permanent
parked and
spot.
stayed, but that is not a park and stay. Like the park and stays are like 50 feet long with like full
Oh,
laundry
you mean
and
the full bus you drive?
yeah.
One.
And you go one
Gotcha,
place and
gotcha.
that's it. But because mine's park and stay, it just goes up and down the hill, and I don't have to
Yeah.
pull it. um, so the I guess just we'll circle back on the Voron. The project is coming along, and we
Yeah, it's slowed down because
yeah.
of summer and whatnot, but it is not
No.
abandoned, and I'm itching at it, but I'm also focused on some other
Mm-hmm.
things. For example, the CNC, which I did my first video on how to set up Fusion and your tools in
Mm-hmm.
Fusion. The next one will be kind of figuring out tool paths once I figure all that
Mm-hmm.
out.
You got to
And
be
then
careful with
the
that
next,
one because we have access to tool paths that everybody won't.
you know, well, you know what? I'm just gonna go over the
There, yeah,
basics to start
because
with.
yeah,
So
like we get some. There's like 3D adaptive, and what's the other one? Contour. There's a contouring variant that they work really good, but you have to actually have those design credits. Yeah.
So it's things that I'll be working on, and then once I've got I also purchased some cool designs of superheroes, shall we say, that I think David might like, that happens to be in our Google Drive. Hint, hint.
Like this.
That's one of them.
I like it.
Yeah, they're really cool. I think they were posters when, like, so they've got like the superhero, and then they have the alter ego, and they're kind of offset. Yeah. So one's a silhouette of the other, and then you can CNC it out. So that's I'm gonna play with that for the first one, because I want to do a basic one that's just normal. Yeah. Milling, and then I want to do 2.5D, which is what you're talking, the more advanced, that can do the contour and whatnot. And if people want to do that, typically they have to buy the more advanced software, or use Fusion or something, because typical software doesn't do kind of a three-dimensional.
No,
cut,
it usually does.
Right?
So like it usually does 2-dimension, and I might actually like. Greg's got Fusion, and I think Vince is actually he's doing a FreeCAD one. So Vince will have FreeCAD, and then I'll do Carvey, and it's not Carvey, but it's their software, and then maybe VCarve. Yeah. And then we can get all of them.
Yeah, and then there's some demos of some of the more advanced ones. So anyway, I'm progressing from I'm new. This is how you do the basics to get set up, and then this is what you need to look at, and then I'll move into the basic cut of your first cut, and then we'll progress and hopefully get to some fancy stuff. Later.
And I know
my wife already has some fancy projects for me that she's got.
Yeah, I know. Vince is also going to do LightScribe. I don't know if you've heard of that one, but that's the laser burning software that you can use the module for on the CNC. You can switch it up. And he's like, yeah, I want to actually make videos. I'm like, good. So you might see him. Maybe. We'll see. Ben just says he's asking about the weather, and we have been in a heat warning steadily since about June 4th. It hasn't let up.
Yeah. I mean, the hottest it got here was when I was 45 or 46.
Yeah. And I think we're cruising that way next week again. Yeah.
Are we?
Just today, actually, we have a heritage site not far from where we live, and there was a grass fire that threatened it.
I heard that.
They got it out though. It's not.
It's called Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump.
If you're in Alberta or ever near Alberta, southern Alberta, it's cool. Go check it out.
It's a very interesting.
I've been there probably more than any other heritage site, but it's dry, it's hot. We're well air conditioned.
And my thermostat died, so I had to get a very well, okay, it kind of died. The screen died, and apparently that model, it's kind of common, but at least I could still control it with my phone. So, and now Google and Alexa can do mine.
Right? You could get a smart if you do you could get. Actually, we can't get Amazon Key in Canada. It doesn't work yet. I'm just gonna throw this up here. Because we're getting close to the top of the hour and being almost finished, guys. I'm sorry, this went quick, but thank you to all of our Patreon supporters, Helge for tree supporting and
tree support,
everybody
and everyone else. Yeah, we really appreciate everything that you guys do to contribute, and then we will try to keep up our end and get the
Mhm.
content out. It's not just the live streams like we're doing now. We are going to strive to put out more actual content, but we enjoy doing the live streams and
Mhm.
chatting with everyone.
And we're in summer mode, and that's what like content for us slows down a bit in the summer. So sorry, but it's coming back.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/3D Make It is where you can find us for all the fun times. And don't forget, you can find all of our socials, which really we use Facebook and YouTube, and even then, we're
And
but the
Patreon
biggest
and
thing we're on is Discord, and there's 2 tiers of Discord
yes.
we have. One is kind of a general channel, but we do have a private Discord channel. But
Well, well, it's all kind of private. The general one was just kind of when we started it, we invited a bunch of
yeah,
people, and now, if you want to join our Discord, Discord,
Discord.
sorry, speak
How
me
boot
not.
it?
How
eh?
boot it? You can. That's one of the perks of
Yeah.
being a Patreon member, because you get direct access to us, and then you get to join us like
We
last
do.
week.
We have a good problem. I noticed, but we're at a. If everybody shows up, we're out of seats for our one tier of
Right.
the count. And guys, if you're not a patron, and everybody here in the chat, like Vince and Ben and Lightspeed, and I'll get them all. Erie was here. Gary. I think that's everybody seen so far. But like we sure appreciate you guys coming and hanging out and listen to us talk 3D printing mostly, and some random things now and again. But
well, random things come in there and this and that, but yeah, it's we do appreciate everyone, and yeah.
And I think
so
before we're done too, because we're getting there. I'm getting hungry. But like. One last shameless plug, and Greg and I are really excited about these shameless plugs. We do have a podcast, and that's actually really exciting for us to make. It's a different format, but like it's a lot more
nerdy deep dive talks.
And we do like making it, and you can find it on any of the podcasty stuff.
Platforms.
And we're 3D Make It everywhere. I think on one place only, and I forget which one. We're 3D Make It CA. And remember, if you don't see our smiling faces, that's not us. Don't follow them.
Yeah, we're normally on there somewhere.
But yeah, I think I know we're a little bit early, but we might wrap her up. It's really good to see all you guys. Thanks again for coming. And I guess until next time, which is next week, I think.
Yeah, it'll be next week, because people are still in summer mode. So, but I'm sure I can get something out between now and next week. So for videos.
Yeah, we'll see what we do. We'll see what we get. Cool, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Until next time. Have a good one.
Bye.